Hi, I'm Catherine Llewellyn, the host of the podcast. You can find out all about Truth and Transcendence on truthandtranscendence.com. And you can find out all about me on beingspace.world, where you will find my online coaching offering as well as my UK-based workshops. The Freedom of Spirit workshop for liberation and empowerment, the Pellower Radical Shift in Consciousness workshop for spiritual expansion, and transformational coaching for exploring the mind-body-spirit connection on the expansive path. You can also support the podcast by actually making a donation. I hope you enjoy the show. Welcome to Truth and Transcendence. You can find all our other episodes on truthandtranscendence.com. So today I'm delighted to welcome Ros, who is going to be talking about, we always end up talking about lots of things on this show, but who's going to be talking particularly about communicating with your guardian angel. You may not know you have a guardian angel, but I understand from Ros that you do. And also we're going to talk about spaciousness. So Ros Place is a guardian angel communicator from England who helps truth seekers to communicate with their guardian angels and find trustworthy answers to life's important questions. Ros is currently traveling the world with her husband Eddie and their 2 teenage sons, following the guidance of her guardian angel, Tressarn. And you can find Ros at angels-with-ros, that's ROS.com. So, Ros, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Catherine. I'm very, very happy to be here.
Brilliant. And of course, we are also going to mention today your beautiful book, Channel of Clarity, which I have now actually read and had a very interesting experience reading it, which I'll come on to later in the conversation. So, Ros, this word spaciousness came up in the pre-call. It's a favorite theme of mine. And also when I looked at your website and read your book, I felt so much spaciousness was present there. So would you like to lead off by letting us know what does spaciousness mean to you?
It's a lovely word, isn't it? As you said, spaciousness, I felt my heart open up. Spaciousness for me is freedom. Spaciousness is expansiveness. It's the opportunity to explore and to discover. It's a wonderful, what has become, I think, a luxury in the world today. That's something that drives me. It's very driving energy within me.
That's interesting that you say it's a driving energy, because I think a lot of people, if they hear the word spaciousness, might assume that it's a more passive thing, a more sort of empty thing, if you like. But, what you've just expressed there is that there's an active energy around it for you. So how did you first connect with spaciousness as a really important thing for you?
I've always wanted to be free. I've always wanted to explore things. I've had a real sense of doing things differently. I've always been that way as I grew up. I was always different. I always felt different. I grew up in a suburb of London and I thought differently. I had different experiences to the people that I grew up with and around. And I always wanted more. I was quite rebellious as a child. I was always asking questions. I was always happiest when I was just like untethered. I didn't have a great time with following rules and doing as I was told. I was always questioning and always searching and looking for more. And for a long time, that took me down an interesting path of exploring through teenage years, which was not very positive, to be honest, quite self-destructive. I found school very challenging. My parents divorced when I was young and we came into a new family, and I was always trying to find my space, find where I fitted in, find my freedom. I'm also an elder I'm the eldest child, and I think that is something that elder children often talk about. They're the ones that kind of are pushing forwards and, new territory, wanting to grow and expand. But I've always felt that needing space, wanting space. The world and what we see is so vast, but that there's so much more than what we see. And I've always known that as a child, because some of my first memories are of things that other people just didn't see and couldn't see. And I like to wake up in the morning and feel excited about what's coming, about what's being created, about what's possible. So that spaciousness for me is room to be.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. I can resonate with so much of what you've just said. And I think probably a lot of people can resonate with that feeling of, I know there's more. I can sense there's more. Sometimes I can actually see that there's more. And yet I feel restricted, hemmed in. And I just want to have space to expand. I want that space to grow. So I completely resonate to that. And I want to be free. I mean, this is another thing I'm really connected into at the moment. I think there are many, many people all around the world who just want to feel free, in essentially free, not just I want to be allowed to leave my room physically, that essentially free thing. And so where has that taken you? The connection with the importance of spaciousness for you, that space to be. Where has that taken you in terms of what you've then discovered and learned about that over the years?
Well, always wanting to explore, always wanting to try and find new ways, always wanting to be creative, expanding inside of what's possible for me, pushing myself to do things that frighten me, that make me feel uncomfortable. I'm not a thrill seeker. I'm not someone that bungee jumps or anything like that. But I'm very aware of my own boundaries and limitations, and I really enjoy pushing through those. I don't mean that I am always actively on a path of personal development where I'm constantly waking up and, walking into the day thinking, let's just do all these amazing things that take me outside of my comfort zone. But it's always been something that has been present for me. I've, for many different reasons, been had to push myself and had to do things that didn't necessarily come naturally. And I think in terms of where it's taken me spiritually, my relationship with Tressarn has been a relationship which has created so much freedom, so much trust. And that's a big part of freedom for me. Being free is about trusting myself and trusting that I'm safe. That's been a real theme for me in my life, knowing that I'm safe in many different ways. And in terms of where it's caused me spaciousness and that pursuit of freedom has caused me to go, is that I married someone who's very like that. I think if I was married to someone who was not that way, it would have felt very limiting, very constrictive, I'd feel very boxed in, as I had done in my earlier years when I was trying to fit into what my family were like and where I grew up in a suburb of London where everybody thought in the same way. Everybody lived where they went to school, and I just could never comprehend that. So in terms of what that freedom has meant for us in our life now, I married someone who was the same. We've always traveled, we've always explored, we've always been interested in creating something that was authentic to us, that mattered to us. And now we are traveling the world. For 2 years, we've been traveling the world under the guidance of Tressarn. And it's been the most amazing experience to take your 2 sons and your whole family, your home, your whole world, and travel and experience that freedom, see other things, understand and learn about the way that other people live and how we're all the same. There's so much restriction around the way that we're told we can live, what's possible. Traveling for 2 years and running a business has been wonderful. It's brought so much aliveness into the work that I do. It's been so expansive, And it's something that I really like helping other people to do, to get out of that. I have to work 9 to 5. I have to work for a corporation. I have to be someone who, you know, that's my life, to help people to create something that's much more freedom creating in many different ways.
Yeah.
So it's always been there in one way or another. Yeah, always been there. And always been, it's Ros. You know, people would say, like my mum will say, oh yeah, Ros is doing this now. Oh yeah, Ros is doing that way. It's still remarkable to people, but it's completely normal to me.
Yes. Well, you've obviously made it a practice as you've gone through your life. You know, I don't think these things are something where you can go, oh, well, this week for the first time in my life, my entire life is going to be really spacious. You know, it's a process, isn't it? You know, you didn't suddenly at the age of, I don't know, 14, suddenly become who you are now.
No, definitely not. No, it's true. It's part character, I think. I think that if you have a certain disposition, if you have a certain character trait or traits, then it's something that matters to you, and it morphs and it becomes different things in your life. But it's definitely a value. It's a real core theme for me in my life. I feel free. And the other word that comes up with spaciousness is choice. You know, having choices, not feeling as though I have to do this or I must do that. Now, please be clear, I'm very committed and I have a true sense of honoring my word and doing exactly what I say I will do, but always choosing. And that's really important for me as well, having choice, choosing.
Yeah, me too. You said in amongst that you're not always pushing forward in terms of personal growth and going off and doing things for that. And when you said that, I thought, but surely, you know, having a relationship with Tressarn like you do, and anyone who didn't pick it up at the beginning of the conversation, Tressarn is Ros's guardian angel, who you've been working with now for many years, and as you say, is guiding you and your family in your travels. You know, from reading the book and from what you said to me before, is that relationship not an expansive thing in and of itself?
Yes, definitely. But it's one that I didn't always want. The relationship that I have with Tressarn was a relationship and continues to be a relationship which encourages growth, nurtures growth. Only one step at a time, always one step at a time, and always in loving ways, helping me to fulfill my purpose, so that I can find true contentment in my life. But that relationship was not a relationship which came easily, because when I was younger, in a very self-destructive, very willful mode of being, a very fearful place, that wasn't what I wanted. I was very much wanting to forge my way in my own way. One of the first words that things that my mum said, one of the first things that I said was, me do it myself. That's the other interesting thing that I find about a lot of people that I work with who do want freedom, who do want choice, who do enjoy spaciousness, is they also have this real strong independence and a real kind of like self-propulsion. They're very self-motivated and self-driven, and they're very capable, and they very often do everything by themselves. And so that makes it difficult to allow for trust, allow for help, to take that step into accepting that there is help available to you. You do have a guardian angel. You have a guardian angel just waiting to help you to fulfill your purpose. But it wasn't always something that was what I wanted to do and explore. And for many years, the relationship closed down because, well, I closed the relationship down. I can remember really clearly being a teenager, standing outside of the geography blocks in my comprehensive school in a suburb of London and saying, this is it. No, I don't want anything to do with this anymore. Tressarn, that's it. No, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be different. I don't want to stand out. I don't want to have this sense of being on a path. I want to do things my way. I want to do it And that independence and that feeling of lack of trust that can come from that desire to want spaciousness and want freedom can converge in that way. And it's only when you're ready that you can take that relationship forward and have the motivation to develop your relationship with your guardian angel. It was always there. I never had to develop it. I never had to choose for it. I didn't ask for it. And I think that makes it quite different. You have to be ready. There has to be a motivation. And at that time, my only motivation was doing things myself, and being very willful, and not wanting any help, not trusting any help. You have to have a motivation. There has to be a reason. And there wasn't then. But as I matured, there became wonderful reasons. And in fact, when I became a mum for the first time when I was 31, that's when my relationship with Tressarn really was impossible for me to hold at bay any longer.
Yeah. And do you feel that the time when you were in your separation from Tressarn, shall we say, do you feel that those times were actually important for your development, or do you feel like they were just sort of a gap? What's your feeling on that?
I think it's like, being sent to Siberia. It was, I wasn't sent there. I sent myself there. It was just very barren, very sad time, a very anchored time, ungrounded time. It was a time of growth. It was a time of learning things. But if I could go back and do it all again, I wouldn't do it like that. No. My sons, actually, so it's interesting, they were teenagers. One of them's now not a teenager anymore. But one of my sons they're 14 and 20 now. And they're both learning to channel their guardian angels, which may or may not come as a surprise. I asked the boys if they wanted to connect with their guardian angels, meet their guardian angels, before I took the step to connect with them, because that's important. Manny was about 8. It wasn't until Zed was 16 that he was interested. But they never wanted to learn to channel. They're motivated to learn to channel. And it's fascinating why. Because my youngest loves chess. He loves to play chess. They both have so many interests and they have so many questions. And we live in a world where, they live in a world where it's completely normal to do what I do. And Eddie, my husband, he channels his guardian angel as well, because they have questions that they want answers to. So Manny sees how people are channeling in the real world, but not calling it channeling. So, for example, he loves to play chess. And the world of chess now has expanded to the extent where, excuse me, you can play online chess. You don't have to sit and play classical chess, although he loves classical chess. It's not so easy because you've got to wait for people to play with, or you've got to go and play, but you can play online chess. And he said, I watch people play chess and they play these blitz games of chess, which is really, really rapid chess, which is fascinating. And he said, they're not thinking. They can't possibly be thinking about what they're doing. They're playing chess in another way, on another level. And I want to be able to do that. And then he said to me, and I want to learn to channel, because that's what they're doing, isn't it? They're channeling. They're not thinking. They're channeling. Same with my older son, Zed. He never wanted to channel. He always had lots of questions, but one of the many things that he loves to do is to produce music. And so he follows lots of different musicians, and he's fascinated by the process of producing music, but also the process of how creative ideas come together. And he's heard so many artists and producers, people in the music world, and throughout history, talking about how an idea just came to them. I just woke up and I just had the melody, or I could see the notes, or people that see music in color, like Billie Eilish, for example. She apparently doesn't she hears music, but she sees it as like colors. That's how she's able to like create. So he's fascinated by it, and that's why they want to learn to channel. So going back to my motivation, you have to have a motivation. You have to know why you want to do it, because otherwise you won't. Or in my case, the ability to be able to do it was something that just didn't fit into the jigsaw puzzle of my life. It was like having Tressarn always there, loving me, supporting me, encouraging me, helping me. But I was at a stage of my life through my adolescence where I couldn't embrace that. I didn't feel safe to trust that. I'd grown up and had a really difficult childhood, and so trust was a real issue for me. No, I need to do everything by myself. That's how I feel safe, staying in control. And it wasn't until I had Zed, when I was 31, that I had no control over the process, and I opened up in ways which meant that I couldn't hold back. Having babies makes me vulnerable, like so exposed, and I couldn't keep that connection shut down any longer. And when that love came back in, transformed my life.
Amazing. So, of course, that's a very rare experience, as you've described it, because I think for most people, they're not sort of holding this loving experience at bay and then later on, oh my God, all right, I'll let it in. So for a lot of people, as you say in the book, there's that situation of maybe not even having thought of that possibility, or maybe that possibility is only possible for everybody else, as you've also emphasized in the book, that sort of thought form which says, yeah, but I'm the one who doesn't deserve a guardian angel. Everyone else does.
Ew.
All of that. And that's one of the things I loved about the book. You're so thorough about exploring the relationship with just the possibility of even exploring, maybe engaging with, connecting with one's guardian angel. It's very thorough, and I thought it was beautiful the way you've done that. I mean, what was that when you? I'm talking about the first section of the book, which is all kind of leading up to the point where you say, right, now this is how you create your channel of clarity. And I'm sure some people might be thinking, well, just tell me how to do it. And you're like, no, we're gonna do this first. Did you and Tressarn work together around the design of how you created that journey through the process in the book?
Oh, yeah. I mean, channeling books with Tressarn is what I love to do. One of the things that I love to do, one of my motivations to channel is to channel information for books. When Channeling of Clarity came, it came at a time where I'd had a really fascinating part of my freedom, right? Part of my spaciousness, part of my adventure. I said to my husband, I can remember sitting in the front room of our house. So Manny was like 4, I think, and that would have made Zed 9. And I said, I want to go to Los Angeles. And he said, okay, why don't you go to Los Angeles? So I booked to go to Los Angeles. I didn't know anybody at all. And I took myself out there. Eddie looked after the kids, which was fantastic. That was part of the pleasure of it. You know, having a 4-year-old and a 9-year-old, or anyone who's had that will know that that is, you know, glorious and wonderful and fantastic. But oh my goodness, sometimes you fantasize about time to myself and just being able to do something that I want to do, knowing that the kids are happy and being looked after and all that. So I went out there and I had amazing adventures. I met incredible people. One situation in particular, I met an amazing billionaire. How many people can say they've met a billionaire if I don't know? He was wonderful, and I read for him. I connected him with his guardian angel, and we sat and had a margarita outside on his terrace in Malibu. That was just such a wonderful time. And he actually wrote an amazing letter of recommendation for my visa, actually, when we were thinking about going and staying out in America. And it was amazing and wonderful. But as a result of that visit to Los Angeles and all the people that I met there, he said to me, this is to do with motivation. He said to me, what do you want, Ros? What do you want? And I said, I don't want anything, because this was like the end of his reading. We're sitting there, and I sat next to Abraham Lincoln's like chest. It was just amazing, amazing experience. And I said, I don't want anything. And he said, you must want something. He said, I'm going to go and speak to my chef, and when I come back, I want you to tell me what you want. And it was just this moment of like feeling as though I could have anything. This man could grant me any wish. I mean, he already said to me, you know, do you want some accommodation? Do you like bikes? I was trying to find something that he could give to me. I didn't know what I wanted. So I said, he came back And he sat down and he said, "What do you want?" And I said, "Can you help me to help children?" And he just looked at me, and that's when he said, he was really confused. And he said, "Do you like margaritas?" And I said, "Yeah, I love margaritas." And that's when he made me a margarita. But what was wonderful about that was it was a moment of admittance, which I like to talk about, admitting what you really want. I really want to help people, children. I really want people to have this opportunity. And at that point, it wasn't about channeling, it was about connecting with their guardian angels. But at that time, people were coming to me for readings, and I was just getting overwhelmed by it. And the numbers of people that were coming, I just couldn't. When I put this big wish out there, "Can you help me to help children?" The only way that I had to help people at that time was to connect them with their guardian angels. And it was impossible to even imagine being able to help all those people. I can't help. There's only so many. I can't scale. I can't clone myself. There's only so many people that I can help. So I came back and I gave up. I actually came back after that happened and I gave up because I thought, I can't do it. I can't do it. It's impossible. And I even went on to create a completely different business, a business that has nothing to do with connecting with your guardian angel. I spent so much effort, loved it, but it wasn't authentically what I was here to do, which was to help people to channel, because that means you can do it yourself. So the whole book teaches you how to channel. Now, how this started was when I was at my lowest point. I'd given up on my work. I'd said, right, I can't do this. And it was COVID. And Eddie, my husband, used to work in events. And there were no events. Cast your mind back. There were no events. No one was going out. No one was doing anything. His business collapsed. I'd said, I can't do this anymore. And all of a sudden, we had a massive drop in income, as I'm sure you can imagine. And the house that we lived in, the house that we loved, you know, and all the life that we'd created around that was just impossible to continue to maintain. And I had to tell my kids, we've got to leave. We can't stay here anymore. We had to go and stay with my mum, which was a wonderfully healing time, actually. She helped us. She took us in, you know, as you would, but it really did heal a lot of the past and a lot of our relationship, which had been challenging. And that was when Tressarn said, you know, that thing that you don't think that you can do by yourself, independence, you know, that thing that, you know, you're trying to do all by yourself and you keep insisting you can't have any help on and you've got to do it all, me do it myself. Well, I'm going to show you how to teach people how to do it for themselves. And so what I did was I told my existing clients, Tressarn's told me that he's got a way of helping you to channel your own guardian angel. Do you want to do it? I'm going to put a small group of people together. No, it wasn't a small group, actually. The first time that I ran a small group, but I ran it individually with mentor clients. Do you want to do it? Yes. They all said yes. So week by week, or as it was then, it's now a week by week process. As it was then, it was month by month. Tressarn would give me the next step. So there were 11 steps to channel your guardian angel, and he gave me the next step. And people, when I was taking them through the program, were saying, like, I can't believe that you're just literally doing this step by step. It doesn't sound like that's perfectly normal for me in terms of my relationship with Tressarn. He'll just give you the next step. Your guardian angel will only give you the next step. And that's great. I used to think that wasn't sufficient, but it means that you don't get overwhelmed, but it means that you get it done. Breaks it down into little manageable pieces. And once I'd taken people through that channel of clarity process, which is what Tressarn gave me, and everyone had channeled and succeeded, I was like, right, we can write a book and we can also, you know, create a whole program. Now we know it works with a lovely, wonderful group of wonderful people who are actually still, you know, developing their relationships with their guardian angels, or gone on to do other things like write books and create businesses. Once we knew it worked, once it was a proven method, we wrote the book. And that is interesting, actually, that it does work, and actually guarantee it. With my program, I guarantee that you verbally channel your guardian angel. It comes with a promise. And that's because of Tressarn.
No. Amazing. Beautiful. I noticed on your website there are multiple different ways people can engage with it, all at different price points, at different degrees of commitment. I thought this is so beautifully laid out. Nobody could complain about this.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, the process is the process. And so the book is what I would always recommend people start with. Start with the book, get the book. The book will take you through that process. It will teach you and introduce you to the channel of clarity. And then once you've read the book, if you want to take that next step to learn how to channel, the whole process is detailed in either a personal program, which is what you can do in your own way. And that's when people learn how to verbally channel and get that wonderful outcome through that program. And also one-to-one with me. And it's wonderful to be able to do that with people. It's so fulfilling. It's real pure contentment to be able to take people along that journey.
Amazing. And do you foresee yourself actually finding / training other people to be able to do what you can do in terms of the one-to-one work with people?
Well, it's interesting because people have asked about that. And people have asked about whether I can train them to do what I do. What I would say is that people who learn how to communicate with their guardian angel will always find a way to help others. Their purpose is in some way to help and make a difference in the world. And their communication with their guardian angel means that they can help people in their own lives and explore helping others within their world to connect with their guardian angels. It's possible. I think really your purpose is the most important thing to find. And that is something that you develop through your own guardian angel and your own purpose in life. It's wonderful to see people doing what they came here to do and being what they came here to be. And if that is within your purpose, then it will absolutely be something that you can fulfill.
I think that's probably the best possible answer in line with everything you've said so far. If that's actually the natural consequence, isn't it, of everything that you were talking about, which is, they can learn to do it if that's their path.
Yeah.
And if it is, their guardian angel will help them to do it.
Yes. It's always natural. It's always natural, comfortable, as it is meant to be. It's always the next step. It's always, it's just a very natural process. Channeling, the whole thing is natural. The whole process of learning it, how you apply it, what you use it for, what your motivation is, it all is revealed to you one step at a time. Just one step, the next step. And it's so fascinating that the path is revealed to you in that way. As someone who likes to be productive, as someone who likes to get things done, that's definitely a thing that I have and that I am. I like to do. But what I've learned with Tressarn is that practical implementation, as he calls it, of the guidance that you're given is really important. It's absolutely essential. But it's not to put the cart before the horse. It's not to act before you know. It's not just to get focused and obsessed with doing. It's much more of a collaborative relationship with your guardian angel. And in fact, one of the ways that you're able to be productive and do is through a process that Tressarn calls allowing, which is one of the keys inside of the Channel of Clarity program. It's an allowing, it's understanding what you're saying yes to and creating a tone for that, which means that you're able to make things happen even when it seems like things aren't happening. It means that you don't have to be patient. It means that you can be in an active state of creation based on what you say yes to. So you're always able to be productive and creative. You're always able to do what you are supposed to do. It's a wonderful, organic, natural, but guided, comfortable path. It never fails to entertain and pleasantly surprise. And it just opens like a beautiful flower. It's just wonderful.
Amazing. Well, I mentioned at the beginning, I had a really interesting experience while reading the book. And I read it over a period of a few days and finished it yesterday afternoon. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to sit back and actually follow this meditation that's in the book. Now, in the book, you actually suggest that maybe you record your own voice and then you can go into a proper meditative state and listen back to your own voice. But I thought, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do a sort of quick and dirty version of this and just see how I get on. And there were some really interesting things that came to me when I was doing it. One was the thought, which is, okay, I'm completely down with the idea that there are, light bodies, energies, etc., that are supporting me and always have been. I've never asked them for their names because I don't need their names. And I don't want to unduly bother them. I don't want to unduly waste their time by asking for details I don't really need. I'm just grateful for everything they give me. So I thought that's a really interesting thought form, Catherine. And so when it came to the bit where it says actually, ask them a question, and I had this sense of a presence that was there, and I asked the question, and the question was, should we sort of be in contact with each other? And the answer was absolutely. Why not? As if the idea of not being in contact was just, why would I even think that? And I just noticed that thing in me which said, oh, I'm not really deserving. I shouldn't really bother them. I thought that was so interesting because you'd mentioned it earlier in the book. Yeah. And I could see it so clearly, but there was also that sense that the benevolent energies, whether it was my guardian angel or what was happening, it mattered not to them what my thought forms were. They were just there, available, regardless of what I was doing in my head, whether it was ridiculous or not ridiculous, it was irrelevant. And that was just such a releasing, spacious experience in that moment.
That's wonderful to hear. Yeah, it's really wonderful once you accept and understand and have it validated to you that you do have a guardian angel and that they are with you to help you to fulfill your purpose. It is a wonderful experience of knowing that can open up a whole new world of opportunity for you. And I find that many women that I work with have certain beliefs or ways of seeing things that they overcome through learning to channel. One of the things that we explore is love and what love means, because that can be a barrier, how you receive love, how you give love, your thoughts and feelings around love. Another theme that we explore together is asking for help, knowing why you deserve help, getting used to asking for help. So many of us independents, people that are used to doing things for themselves, don't think to ask for help. Maybe we've been let down in the past, or maybe we think it's just quicker to do it ourselves. And maybe we've been brought up in a way which means that we really celebrate that level of being capable and self-reliant. But it's not helpful when you're wanting help from the guardian angel. And the other thing that we explore is how you can say yes to your guardian angel in a way that you are always going to say yes to. I think often in spiritual development, you're like asked to open up to this and open up to that. One of the things that I love doing through this method with your guardian angel is to help you to understand that you can create a feeling of I say yes to this, which means that you relax. If ever you're trying to do something that there's any level of resistance to, whether it be what you described there, Catherine, as like just a little bit of doubt, self-doubt, or doubt around deserving or worthiness or whatever it might be, it stalls the process. And so becoming aware of what you're saying yes to, and you don't have to have the detail. you just need to know the feeling of what you will always say yes to, means that you can really avoid all of that second guessing, all of that doubt. And it's a huge area. We all tend to question, so many of us are challenged by self-doubt or second guessing when it comes to making choices and doing the right thing. And it can be a real cycle of constant kind of anguish around whether you're doing it right, whether you should do it, whether it's, now. And so that whole feeling of help, knowing that there's no ties to the help that your guardian angel gives you, knowing that the favor won't be called back in, knowing that you're not judged, as you said, that anything that you say will be greeted with love, will be greeted in a way that encourages you to continue to open up. You won't be shut down. You're not going to be made to feel silly or small. You're not going to be made to feel weak or vulnerable. You're always going to be empowered, and trusting that exists and validating that truth is something that your relationship with your guardian angel is absolutely beautiful for, because you develop trust in yourself and you develop trust in your guardian angel side by side. It is a proven process. It is evidence-based. It is something which you will have validated to you, so that you don't doubt, you don't second guess, you don't wonder, you don't question your connection in any way, but you're not told. It is something which becomes through your relationship with your guardian angel.
No.
It's like no other relationship you will ever have experienced with any human, or you will ever have experienced in terms of what you've had from another human, or what it is possible for you as a human to give to another human, even someone that you love more than you could possibly describe. Your guardian angel will help you more than that. They've got no agenda other than helping you. They've got no place better to be. They're not, tired of your requests. It always makes me smile when you see, those memes where it's like a guardian angel or like a picture of a sculpture, just an angel looking full of despair, like kind of just like they're given up. But that is not the reality of the situation. We tend to personify guardian angels, I think, because it gives us a sense of context and connection. And they are male or female energy, but they're not people. They're not human. They're not confined. There's no ego. Just helping you to fulfill your purpose so that you can contribute positively to the expansion of the universe. And that's something that I say to people a lot. If you find it hard to imagine why your guardian angel would help you with anything that you want help with, if you find it hard to imagine that you've got a guardian angel, and you do have a guardian angel, you have a guardian angel with you, waiting to help you. If you find that challenging, they are with you to help you to fulfill your purpose so that you can contribute positively to the expansion of the entire universe. And you do have a purpose. And once you know that purpose, there is an instant ease, an instant comfort, an instant peace that you find through that purpose.
Excellent. And it's obviously then for the good of all, not just for the good of the individual person with the guardian angel. Yes,
absolutely.
That fits perfectly with one of the modalities I work with, where the idea is that our mission and purpose is a combination of our contribution and our development, but the two are completely mutually dependent and mutually important. So, which I think is absolutely right.
Yeah.
So, some people might ask things like, and I'll ask this question quickly because we're starting to come up towards time. Some people might ask, well, why do we have a guardian angel? And how did that come to be? I mean, the sort of scientific question, why do we have guardian angels? How are they created? Why are they here? That kind of question. You get asked that kind of question.
Yeah. So it's really interesting you mentioned science. There are so many people that are starting to introduce themselves to me who come from really scientific backgrounds. Near-death experiences, I think, are a part of, and the way that they are presented, or the way that they show up in medical settings, for example, like where surgeons, people in the medical field, those that are considered to be of a certain attitude and approach to life, are seeing that people die. They die, they're dead, and then they come back. And the stories that people tell that were, died on the operating table and come back. I think that's something that I'm starting to hear about a lot, near-death experiences, and how the medical profession are starting to ask themselves questions. Within my world, I'm getting a lot of medical professionals, ER doctors, amazing consultants who work in the field of development. I won't say too much, but very high levels of institutions, universities and other things, who are fascinated by this approach and have many, many questions and know that there is more. Of people who come from biology backgrounds, people who come from corporate backgrounds, people who come from what you would not consider to be backgrounds that would gel with this kind of approach, that know that there is more than we see, that there's more than we're being told. They want answers because they know that there's a limit to what science or the world or physics or whatever it is can tell them. I was on a call with the other day, and she was talking about how fascinated she is with part of the process of channeling because it helps her to understand quantum physics. Just incredible. You have a guardian angel. Your guardian angel is assigned at conception. At conception is when your awareness, when you awaken, and when your guardian angel is assigned. They are with you throughout your entire life. They are with you to help you to fulfill your purpose so that you can contribute positively to the expansion of the universe, so that you can be who you've come here to be, so that you can contribute, serve, help, be someone who makes a difference in the world. And in order for you to be, or through that process, contribute positively to the expansion of the universe. People know that there's more than we're being told. People know that there are hidden secrets and truths that are beginning to emerge. People want another way, and they know that it exists, and it's those people that I love working with. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I'm delighted that you are clearly very busy, so busy that you had to create other ways that people could access this other than just come to you for a reading initially. So I celebrate that. I celebrate the fact that humanity is in a place where that's what's occurring. Absolutely brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
So you've already said that a really good way in for people is to read the book. And I would absolutely resonate that. It's actually very easy to read. It's very accessible. It's, as I said, it's very spacious, and I would recommend it. So I will put in the show notes about the book. We've covered so much today, and honestly, it's very difficult for me to close down this conversation because it's so interesting and so fun. Has there been a favourite part of our conversation for you today?
Oh, goodness. It's just wonderful to be able to connect with someone who is wanting to share this information and understanding that there are other ways. It's wonderful to have the opportunity to talk about it in ways which aren't just restricted and limited to kind of like a very small spiritual niche. It's growing. It's something that really intelligent, curious, driven people, women, are wanting to explore. And it's been a wonderful conversation, all of it. Yeah, love it.
Thanks, Nick. And men as well? I mean, your husband has channeled his guardian angel. Do you ever work with men as well? Or are you focusing primarily on women?
I speak to women, but men always reach out. The way that I speak as a woman to woman is something that created that spaciousness for me. But as you can hear, I have a lovely husband who channels his guardian angel, wanting to find out about astrological things which he hasn't being able to work out from what he's been told, which is fascinating to see. Obviously, I've got 2 sons, so I help everybody that wants to reach out and ask for help. But I predominantly focus on speaking to women.
Beautiful. That's very, very clear. That was a question I knew I wanted to ask. Thank you so much. So let's remind where to go to find you, which is angels-with-ros.com. And Ros is ROS. And the book is Guardian Angel Channel of Clarity. And Ros, one final thing I like to ask guests now. Would you like to leave the listeners with some sort of reflection question that they can contemplate over the coming week that might help them engage more fully with some of what we've been talking about today?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think that a great reflection question would be, what would my life be like if I opened to receive help?
Beautiful question. I love that. What would my life be like if I opened to receive help? Excellent question. Ros, thank you so much again for coming on the show and for your wonderful book and your incredible work. So
Thank you.
everybody, thank you so much for watching and listening. That's all for Truth and Transcendence today. And as I said, you can find our other episodes on truthandtranscendence.com. And thanks again to Ros Place. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. It really helps if you give a thumbs up, a 5-star rating, a review, and share with your friends. If you're looking for transformational coaching or an intensive transformational weekend workshop experience, I can help with that. You can actually help the show by making a donation. Until next time, take care.